Maya Line stood on the observation deck of the Elysium, watching as the galaxy stretched out before her, a vast ocean of stars and worlds. As a diplomat from Earth, her job was to maintain peace between the various alien species. But in the grand scheme of things, humanity was still considered a minor player, harmless, primitive, and insignificant. The aliens saw humans as a curiosity at best, a species that had yet to truly rise in the galactic order. Her mission was supposed to be simple: negotiate peace with the Viric. They were an ancient race, technologically advanced and renowned for their wisdom. The Viric had remained neutral in galactic conflicts for centuries, but recently, their behavior had become erratic. Unprovoked attacks on neutral zones, mysterious disappearances, and whispers of experiments that shouldn't have been possible had spread through the galaxy. Now, it was Maya's job to understand why. The Elysium had arrived at the Viric homeworld, a planet shrouded in shadow and mystery. Maya stood at the helm, trying to steady her nerves. Her role as a negotiator was always delicate. If she failed, it could mean the beginning of a war, one that humanity wasn't ready to fight. "Are you ready, Ambassador?" her assistant, Alara, asked from behind her. Maya nodded, her hands still gripping the rail as she looked out at the swirling dark clouds below. "I'm as ready as I'll ever be." As the shuttle descended toward the Viric capital, Maya's thoughts turned inward. She had trained for this her whole life, decades spent studying alien cultures, languages, and history. She knew how to handle delicate negotiations, how to find the right words, the right tone. But this was different. The Viric were unpredictable now, and no one seemed to understand why. The meeting took place in an enormous chamber, its walls carved from what appeared to be obsidian rock, glowing faintly with a light of its own. Viric officials sat across from Maya, their elongated, smooth forms draped in intricate robes. They communicated through a series of clicks and chirps that Maya could barely understand, relying on a translator device to facilitate the conversation. For all their intellect, the Viric had never been interested in simplifying their language for others. Ambassador Maya Line of Earth, one of the Viric leaders, Thokar, spoke with a deep resonance, his voice almost melodic. "We have heard much of your people, and yet we have seen little of your power." Maya chose her words carefully. Humanity's power is not in weapons or force, but in our capacity to adapt and survive. "I'm here to offer peace, Thokar. Nothing more, nothing less." But as the discussion continued, Maya's mind kept wandering back to the strange transmission she had intercepted just days before arriving on the Viric homeworld. The signal had been faint at first, a low hum of static. At first, she had thought it was a glitch, perhaps a malfunction in the Elysium's communication system. But then, the message became clearer. "It was a recording. A human-made artifact, decades old, but with markings she didn't recognize. Someone had been tinkering with it, adding alien technology to a weapon that shouldn't have existed. What disturbed her more was the message that accompanied the artifact. "It is the key to our destruction." Maya had spent the last few days trying to analyze the artifact, but her findings were inconclusive. She had kept the information to herself, unsure how to approach the situation. The last thing she wanted was to alarm her superiors with half-formed theories. But what she had uncovered haunted her. The artifact had been created long before humanity had mastered space travel. Its power seemed ancient. It was unlike anything she had ever encountered, and the modifications alien in nature suggested that someone had been trying to enhance its destructive potential. It wasn't just a weapon. During the meeting with Thokar, Maya's suspicion grew. The Viric were hiding something. Their questions about the artifact were too pointed, their interest too intense. Maya had thought she was here to negotiate peace, but now she began to wonder if this was something more dangerous. The Viric weren't interested in peace. They were interested in the weapon, the artifact that somehow tied into their growing instability. As the meeting drew to a close, Thokar stood, his eyes meeting hers with an intensity that sent a chill down her spine. "Your people may think you are insignificant, Maya Lin, but we have learned the truth. Humanity is not as harmless as they once believed." The words lingered in the air, and Maya could feel the weight of them. Was it a threat? Or a warning? After the meeting, Maya retreated to her quarters, her mind racing. The Virek were hiding something, and she had a feeling it had to do with that artifact. They had been searching for it, and now it was clear they were willing to go to any lengths to find it. She reached for the artifact, which had been secured in a secure case, hidden away in her personal belongings. The sleek, metallic surface of the object glowed faintly, almost beckoning her. Maya knew she had to make a choice: uncover the truth behind the artifact, or risk her own survival and the future of humanity. As that galaxy stretched out before her, Maya realized one thing: humanity might not be as harmless as everyone had thought. And now, the universe was about to find out just how dangerous they could be. This section sets the stage for the journey ahead, combining mystery, political intrigue, and the discovery of humanity's hidden potential. The key question remains: what is the artifact, and how will it change everything for Maya, Earth, and the galaxy? Maya had barely begun to process the implications of the artifact when everything she'd assumed about her mission turned upside down. What had seemed like a diplomatic mission to maintain peace with the Virek was quickly unraveling into something far darker. The artifact, once thought to be a simple weapon, was no ordinary relic. It was an ancient device that held the power to manipulate the very genetic structure of any species, including humanity. The truth behind it was more horrifying than anything Maya could have imagined. As Maya continued her investigation, the pieces of the puzzle began to fit together. The artifact wasn't just a weapon, it was the legacy of an extinct race known as the HFY. A race that had vanished from the galaxy millennia ago, their destruction tied directly to the weapon they had created. The HFY had been a brilliant but reckless species, obsessed with the idea of mastering the very essence of life itself. They had unlocked the secrets of genetic manipulation, but the consequences of their hubris had been catastrophic. The weapon they had designed had inadvertently triggered their own downfall. And now, it was humanity's turn to confront the consequences of this ancient mistake. The Virek, once seen as the wise and neutral guardians of peace in the galaxy, were not what they appeared. They were hunting the artifact not to use its power for good, but to ensure that no one else, especially humanity, could control it. Their sudden and erratic actions now made sense. The Virek had been trying to contain the truth for centuries, keeping the knowledge of the artifact's true power a secret. They feared that humanity, with its ability to adapt and evolve in unexpected ways, might be the very species capable of unlocking the full potential of the HFY's creation. Maya's efforts to keep the peace with the Virek quickly became strained. They were no longer interested in diplomacy. The artifact had become a symbol of control, and they would do anything to prevent humanity from gaining access to it. As Maya delved deeper into the weapon's origins, she learned of a terrifying truth. The Virek were willing to go to any lengths to frame humanity for the theft of the artifact. The more Maya uncovered, the more she realized that the Virek's actions were not those of a species seeking peace. They were the actions of a race desperate to maintain their dominance over the galaxy, to keep the balance of power firmly in their hands. Maya's suspicions were confirmed when she received a coded message from an unlikely source, Jarlock, a Virek defector who had been in hiding for years. Jarlock had once served as a high-ranking official in the Virek's military intelligence division, but he had become disillusioned with the Virek's increasing militarization and paranoia. Now, he was offering Maya a chance to see the truth from his side, a side that saw humanity not as a threat, but as a potential ally. "Meet me on the outskirts of the capital, away from their watchful eyes," Jarlock's message read. "There is much you don't know about the Virek's true intentions, and there is something you need to see. Trust me, Maya. The future of your people may depend on it." Maya hesitated. She knew the Virek would not let a defector go easily, and Jarlock's trustworthiness was a risk. But the urgency in his message was undeniable. If there was a chance to uncover more about the Virek's true motives and the artifact's role in all of this, she had no choice but to meet him. Under the cover of night, Maya slipped out of her quarters and made her way to the designated meeting point. The capital of the Virek homeworld was silent, its towering structures looming overhead like silent sentinels. As Maya reached the outskirts, she saw a figure emerge from the shadows: Jarlock, his appearance different from the Virek she had encountered in the council chamber. His eyes, once cold and calculating, now held a flicker of humanity, a deep desire to make things right. I didn't think you'd come, Jarlok said, his voice low but urgent. But we don't have much time. Maya was on edge, but she nodded. What's this about, Jarlok? Why are you helping me? Jarlok glanced around before speaking again. The Vyrek are hunting the artifact to ensure that no one, not even you, can control it. They believe that humanity is the greatest threat, and if they can't control you, they'll eliminate you. Maya's heart sank. She had suspected that the Vyrek were hiding something, but this revelation was worse than she had feared. What do you mean, eliminate us? Jarlok stepped closer, his voice lowering to a whisper. The Vyrek are not just after the artifact for its power. They know the truth, it is not just a weapon. The artifact can awaken something within your people, something that even they can't control. They are terrified that humanity will become a force too powerful to contain. Maya's mind raced as she processed his words. The Vyrek were not simply hunting a weapon, they were hunting humanity itself. The potential for the artifact to unlock something deep within the human genome, something the Vyrek could not predict, was more terrifying than anything she had imagined. But there was more. Jarlok handed her a small device, a holographic display flickering to life in her hands. This is a record of the Vyrek's experiments. They have been studying your ancestors, Earth's distant past, and they've uncovered something horrifying. Maya's eyes widened as the hologram revealed a disturbing truth. Humanity's ancestors had not been innocent bystanders in the rise and fall of the HFY. They had been involved directly or indirectly in the creation of the very weapon that had destroyed the HFY civilization. The artifact wasn't just a weapon. It was a key to the potential destruction of every species in the galaxy, humanity included. Maya's ancestors had unknowingly played a role in its creation, and now the Vyrek would do anything to ensure that no one, not even humanity, could ever unlock its power. Torn between her loyalty to her people and the terrifying truth Jarlok had shared, Maya was left with a choice that she had never anticipated. Should she trust Jarlok and pursue the dangerous path of unveiling the artifact's true power, or should she honor her duty to Earth and stop the Vyrek from framing humanity for a crime they didn't commit? As Maya stood in the shadows of the Vyrek capital, the weight of her decision hung heavy. The future of her people and the galaxy was at stake. The galaxy, once teeming with the certainty of its hierarchical order, began to tremble beneath the weight of a new, terrible truth. Maya had suspected for some time that the Vyrek's behavior went beyond mere caution, but she hadn't been prepared for the revelation that shattered everything she believed. The Vyrek were not only fearful of the artifact's power, they were terrified of humanity itself. As Maya meticulously examined the artifact, her hands trembling as she accessed its hidden protocols, the truth became undeniable. The weapon was far more than a relic of ancient warfare. It wasn't just a tool created to destroy, it was a catalyst for change. Humanity's true potential, locked away for millennia, was embedded within the artifact. The dormant abilities of human beings were not only a defense mechanism against the HFY, they were an evolutionary leap that could allow humanity to manipulate the very fabric of the universe itself. Energy, time, reality, it was all within reach, should the artifact be activated. Maya felt a sharp pang of fear. Her thoughts raced, colliding with the overwhelming scope of what she was uncovering. The galaxy had seen humanity as an insignificant species, primitive, weak, and unworthy of the power that resided in the stars. The Vyrek had long maintained a delicate balance, fearing that any shift in the established power dynamics would unseat them from their place at the top. And now Maya understood the core of their fear. Humanity's genetic code was a key to untapped power, an ability that could rival any civilization. The Vyrek had spent centuries monitoring humanity, ensuring that the human race stayed confined to its place in the galaxy. But it wasn't just the artifact they feared, it was what it represented. Humanity was the potential dark horse in the galactic race, the one species that could tip the scales and, in time, reshape the galaxy. With this newfound knowledge, Maya found herself standing at the precipice of a choice that could not be undone. She could leave the artifact dormant, suppress its power, and keep humanity in the shadows. Or she could activate it, unleashing an era of human ascendancy that could rewrite the laws of the universe itself. The Vyrek, once trusted allies, now stood as the enemy relentlessly pursuing their goal to control or destroy humanity before the weapon could be used. In their eyes, humanity was a loose cannon, a species capable of reshaping everything, and they would not allow it. Maya was torn. To activate the artifact was to gamble with the fate of the entire galaxy. If she allowed humanity to unlock its full potential, it could either lead to a new golden age of enlightenment, or it could spiral into chaos, toppling entire civilizations. But if she kept the artifact sealed away, the galaxy would remain as it had always been, a fragile balance of power, with species like the Virek at the top and humanity left to wonder if it had any real place in the universe. Maya's heart pounded as she recalled Jarlax's words. The Virek had not only kept humanity in the dark about their true potential, but they had actively suppressed the knowledge of this power. And yet, Jarlax had believed that humanity could be something more, that if given the chance, humans could lead the galaxy toward unity, a future where they could share their strength with other species instead of dominating them. But could that future truly exist without the entire galactic system being irrevocably altered? Maya stood alone in the dimly lit room, the artifact humming softly in her hands. She had always prided herself on being a diplomat, skilled in negotiation and compromise. But this was no ordinary conflict. There was no middle ground, no negotiation. She had to make a choice, one that would forever alter the course of history. The emotional weight of it all settled heavily on her shoulders. If she activated the artifact, humanity would awaken to powers far beyond their current understanding. It could mean control over space, time, energy power unimaginable. But what would they do with such power? Would they remain the hopeful species Jarlax had envisioned, or would they fall prey to the same temptations that had doomed the XL Shira? Could they resist the urge to impose their dominance on others? In that moment of indecision, Maya thought about Earth, about the people she had sworn to protect. She thought about the children she had seen in the streets of her homeworld, who would one day look to the stars and wonder if humanity had the strength to survive in a galaxy that had once overlooked them. And then, there was the galaxy itself. If humanity was to ascend, it could reshape not only the way civilizations interacted, but the very fabric of existence. But at what cost? Could she really ask her people to bear that burden? Suddenly, Maya knew what she had to do. With trembling hands, she activated the artifact. The moment the artifact hummed to life, the energy in the room surged. Maya could feel it pulse through her veins, her thoughts becoming clearer, sharper. The dormant human abilities unseen, untapped, began to awaken. Waves of power rippled through her, overwhelming her senses. She could feel the subtle currents of time, the very vibrations of energy in the air. Reality itself was shifting, bending under the weight of the artifact's influence. But as the power surged through her, she realized that humanity would not simply be an observer in this galaxy anymore. They would become its force, its catalyst. The Virek, once secure in their position, now faced an uncertain future. The ancient power that had been lying dormant in humanity's genetic code was no longer an ancient myth. It was alive. And the galaxy had no idea what was coming. Civilizations that had once held the reins of power began to feel the first tremors of change. The universe was no longer static. It was now a battleground for dominance, humanity's rise threatening to shake the foundations of everything. Maya had set something in motion that could never be undone. As the energy continued to radiate from the artifact, she couldn't help but wonder, what had she unleashed? And was it too late to stop it? The galaxy would never be the same again. The galaxy had changed. Once a quiet and insignificant corner of the universe, Earth now stood at the epicenter of an irreversible shift. The activation of the artifact's power had set off a cascade of events that no one could have predicted. Humanity, once underestimated, now stood on the precipice of galactic dominance. But with power came a terrible price. The very fabric of the galaxy was shaking, and civilizations once secure in their old ways now found themselves caught in a deadly new game. The peaceful species, who had long looked upon humans as harmless, were suddenly faced with a force unlike anything they had ever imagined. With humanity's latent abilities awakened, the galaxy's balance had been disturbed beyond repair. Every species was forced to make a choice, either unite with Earth embracing the unknown future, or resist and face the brutal consequences. The Virek, once the masters of galactic diplomacy, now saw humanity as the greatest threat to their centuries-old position. Their desperation to maintain control had led them to acts of betrayal, but now they had no choice but to confront the rising tide of human power. But in the aftermath of humanity's victory, Maya realized the cost. The artifact had not only unlocked the dormant powers within humans, but it also unraveled the delicate peace that had held the galaxy together. Civilization after civilization now rushed to either adapt or fall behind. The arms race had begun, and humanity was at the center of it all. The old alliances had fractured, the old hierarchies broken, and new factions were rising, each one vying for control over this new power. Maya had long believed in peace. She had dedicated her life to diplomacy, working tirelessly to maintain harmony between species. But she now found herself at the heart of a conflict she had never wanted, forced to navigate a galaxy that was no longer interested in peace. The galaxy had always viewed humanity as a fleeting spark in the darkness, a species destined for obscurity. But in a single moment, humanity had shattered that perception. They were now the spark that could ignite a war that would engulf the stars. ASE, the leader of Earth's diplomatic efforts. Maya knew she had to make a choice. She could guide humanity through this turbulent time, trying to build a new order, or she could watch as they were swept up in a galaxy-wide conflict, one that would destroy all that humanity had worked for. But even as she made her decision, she couldn't ignore the gnawing sense of loss that lingered in her heart. The peaceful vision she had once held seemed increasingly distant. The galaxy was not a place where peace could thrive anymore, not when such power had been unleashed. In the end, Maya made the sacrifice she had always feared. She stepped away from her position as a peacekeeper, ensuring humanity's survival by doing so. By relinquishing her role in galactic diplomacy, she cleared the path for the next generation of leaders to shape humanity's destiny. But her departure from the stage did not bring peace. It only deepened the rift between species. Humanity's newfound power was too great, too unpredictable, and the galaxy was forever altered. As Maya looked out over the stars, her heart heavy with the weight of her choices, she realized that her victory had come at a profound cost. The galaxy was no longer a place of harmony. It had become a battlefield. But even in the chaos, she couldn't deny the sense of awe that filled her. The potential for human greatness had been unlocked, and humanity now had the chance to lead the galaxy, but at what price? And there was a chilling truth she couldn't ignore. A new threat was looming on the horizon. As the dust of the galaxy's shifting balance settled, something darker began to stir. A force that had remained hidden, watching, waiting. Its presence was still a mystery, but the signs were there. A shadow that had watched as humanity grew stronger, biding its time. Maya couldn't help but wonder if this new force had been manipulating events all along, waiting for humanity to rise just to tear them down again. In the quiet of her final moments, as a diplomat, Maya felt a deep unease. Was humanity truly meant to inherit the galaxy? Or were they simply another cog in an endless cycle of destruction and rebirth, just as the Excelsior had been before them? The galaxy was a vast, mysterious place, and humanity's place in it was far from certain. As the last remnants of the ancient order crumbled and new powers took their place, Maya looked toward the future. It was a future full of uncertainty and potential. Humanity had risen from the ashes of its past, but the path ahead was unclear. The galaxy was no longer the same, and neither were the people who inhabited it. Humanity had gone from being a forgotten species to the galaxy's greatest unknown. Whether they would be its saviors, conquerors, or mere survivors was a question that would take centuries to answer. And yet, Maya could not shake the feeling that this was just the beginning. That the galaxy was not done with humanity. That something greater was yet to come. She could only wonder what role humanity would play in the grand scheme of the universe. The galaxy was waiting,